Political violence is wrong, and it's always wrong. We've spent the last few months on this channel criticising BLM and Antifa for smashing public property, attacking police officers, and defying and spitting on democracy. But as we speak, it seems that right now, right-wing radicals are doing, unfortunately, exactly the same in Washington, D.C. Congress is meant to be ratifying the election results, and quite a lot of people dispute those results, but that's no excuse for what happened next. Radicals have stormed Capitol Hill. We've seen guns drawn in the very heart of democracy. We've had the Secret Service barricading themselves into the building. It's unthinkable and it's wrong. Conservatism values the rule of law, it values order, doing things the right way, going to the courts if it's done the wrong way. If you think the election was unfair, go to the courts, don't attack police officers. So in this video, we're going to be offering a real conservative take on the storming of the Capitol building. Because those people breaking into Congress right now, that's not conservatism. Those people belong in jails, in cells, next to BLM and Antifa. This is Political, and this is probably one of our last videos in the Election 2020 series, and what a note to end it on. Thanks so much for tuning in. We really appreciate all of our viewers. Please do like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Yayan, what is your take on this?
Well, there's quite a lot to go through, and I wanted to I guess frame the context of everything here, because I imagine a lot of people are unsure exactly how things have got to this situation. So first and foremost, obviously there was the Georgia Senate races last night. As things stand, Warnock has been declared the winner in his battle against Loeffler, and Ossoff is likely going to be declared the winner. I mean, like 99% likely going to be declared the winner against Perdue, which would mean the Democrats have an effective majority. To what extent they can do something with that is arguable, because you still have the filibuster, which, you know, would act as a kind of bulwark against radicalism, leftist radicalism, things like stacking the court, etc. And I feel like, I mean, this is just one part, I guess, one piece of the puzzle of everything that's been going on, but that's what happened in the race there. And it's led to this storming of Capitol Hill. So the Capitol has gone on lockdown after thousands of Donald Trump supporters stormed the building in protest of Congress certifying the election for Joe Biden. Vice President Mike Pence said Wednesday he will not follow Donald Trump's demand that he overturn the election, vowing he will heed to the Constitution, adding, "So help me God." Pence sent a letter to 535 senators and representatives on Capitol Hill ahead of the presiding over the joint session that will certify Joe Biden's victory. He said, "Vice presidents in the past have conducted the proceedings in an orderly manner, even when the count resulted in a defeat of the party of their own candidacy." Trump addressed thousands of his supporters at a rally on Wednesday. I'm going to come to that in a second. And Trump threatened Mike Pence, telling him to overturn the general election results shortly before Congress was about to begin counting the electoral votes. So I'm going to leave the link in the description of this, because it's pretty much got quite a lot of visuals there in terms of the videos and a lot of the photographs that were taken at the place. There's just so much of it. So go actually take a look at it and see it for yourself, because it's quite extraordinary. But suffice to say, they stormed inside the building. The Congress was evacuated before they were able to count the electoral votes. And I mean, there's pictures of like people just like sat in the speaker chair and stuff. Like they fully took over the building and stormed it, which, I mean, it shows how bad the security must have been, to be honest, which is incredible. And this is the speech that is supposedly, you know, people are saying incited the violence. So I just wanted to allow you to make up your own mind. So this is what Trump said: "All of us here today do not want to see our election stolen by emboldened radical Democrats. We will never give up. We will never concede. It will never happen. You don't concede when there's death involved. Our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore. We will not let them silence your voices. We're not going to let it happen." And so the National Guard has been called in to stop the violence. Mike Pence has said the violence and destruction taking place at the US Capitol must stop, and it must stop now. Anyone involved must respect law enforcement officers and immediately leave the building. Peaceful protest is the right of every American, but this attack on a Capitol will not be tolerated, and those involved will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And Trump's added to that, saying, I'm asking for everyone at the US Capitol to remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order, respect the law, and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. And Kayleigh McEnany said that at President Trump's direction, the National Guard is on their way with other federal protective services. And she says she reiterates President Trump's call against violence and to remain peaceful. So, I mean, they're kind of echoing our sentiment, which is that political violence is not, like you said, we've been going on about Antifa and BLM and all of this for months and months and months. It would be so hypocritical for us to say that this is okay.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, do you think Trump bears any responsibility then? Because I like Trump because I like the Reagan style of politics, the unashamed love of democracy and liberty, respect for the rule of law, small government, low taxes. But this is so far from that vision. It's basically an insult to his memory, right? Like, no conservative has ever advocated storming the Capitol, no true conservative at least. Like, because we're looking at Trump, and yeah, he is asking people to be peaceful. He's deployed the National Guard. So actually, and we probably have a few subscribers who are actually sat in Congress right now, making the US look like it's bloody Venezuela, where the same thing happened a couple of years ago. Like, whose name are you doing this in? Like, because Trump's disavowed you. But yeah, do you think he bears any kind of responsibility for this, or what do you think?
I think people are responsible for their own actions, in all honesty. I think Trump believes that the election is stolen from him. And again, I don't go into the whole case of the fraud and all of this, because I've seen obviously various bits of evidence and abnormalities and these kind of things that make it seem incredibly fishy what's happened in this election. And I understand why he feels aggrieved. If people genuinely feel that way, I can understand why they would feel like this is necessary, but I don't think that all of the avenues that you can go down have been gone down. You don't go to this unless it's the absolute last resort. This isn't the territory that we're in right now. What's happening in Congress now, where obviously, yes, they've got the 50 seats or whatever, but because of the filibuster and this kind of thing, they're not going to be able to enact any kind of radical agenda. So that acts as a bulwark against that. Things aren't going to change radically in America because the Democrats did not win to the extent that they needed to do so. So in that sense, you don't need to be doing this right now. You've basically got 4 years into the next presidential election to prove beyond an absolute reasonable doubt all of these claims of fraud and this kind of thing. And then in 4 years' time, it should be a cakewalk. I don't know now. I mean, Trump's name is going to be associated now with all of these people. It could be very difficult for him to recover from this.
Yeah, let's talk about the future then, because I would say to any conservative right now, the only chance we have is to completely condemn these actions and make it clear that these people are just crazy radicals, right? Because this is a gift to progressives. You've got Ilhan Omar and AOC rubbing their hands together with glee at this, because their ideology, it's like a creeping mold on society, right? You don't see it progress day by day, but eventually your entire wall's black. Forgive the no racial imagery intended there. The entire wall's black with mold, and it's entirely rotten from inside out. That's what progressivism does to us as a society, but it does it bit by bit, so people don't notice it. And then they're going to compare those little creeping bits of mold to this, which is, someone shooting a gun next to your ear. It's far more noticeable. And no one's going to vote for the Republican Party in 4 years after seeing this, unless we make it very clear that these people acted on their own accord. But even so, let's look at the future, Ian. Is this the end for Trumpism? Because surely something like this, unless a miracle happens, it tarnishes his name for all time, as you said.
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, you know, we think Trump. We think Trump's been a great president, and you know, we really want Trump to be president for another 4 years, because, I mean, I think really the bottom of it all is that when Trump became president, we felt as though we finally had a elected official, elected to the highest land in the office, who actually was working for the American people. They weren't part of the establishment. They weren't there because, you know, they had various people that donated money to them and campaigned for them and all of this kind of thing. They were there because, yeah, I mean, he's just a great campaigner, and he managed to win enough people over, and that was great. It was amazing. But the reality is, that movement still exists without him. Somebody framed the election. I can't remember where I saw it, but somebody said, "How do you feel about, you know, Biden, you know, being declared the winner and all this?" And they said, "Well, you know, we've basically lost the battle, but this is a culture war," and it is a culture war. Like you said, that progressive sort of mold creeping in and that wall, from, you know, slowly making its way and filling up the whole wall and making it black. That's kind of what they've done. They've infiltrated all of these institutions, universities, mostly, and then that has, you know, had that knock-on effect of big tech and the media being massively, massively biased and progressive. They've done that over time because they couldn't win. They couldn't win off the back of their ideas and ideologies in a democracy because it was deeply unpopular, and they had no chance of any kind of like violent uprising. And so, I mean, they went for another avenue, which was to do this and basically take over all the institutions. And they've been doing that for years and years and years. We're not going to be able to undo all of that just by this, you know, by storming the Capitol and delaying the Biden vote. Like, it's going to take decades probably to restore common sense to the average person and make them believe in the values that have got us where we are, the Western values and democracy that have got us where we are to the society that we've built today. This isn't going to do that.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of scared for the future, because you say it's going to take decades to do. In reality, we've just been set back 20 years, haven't we? Because what's going to happen now is Joe Biden's going to become president, and he is going to become president. The Senate's going to the Democrats. The House has gone to the Democrats. The mainstream media is going to be overwhelmingly pro-democratic now. Even Fox News, you know, like forget it. You know, what's going to happen is all these institutions, unchecked, they're going to set the narrative over the next 4 years with no challenge. Okay, because, you know, Trump's gone after this, like it or not, he's probably gone. There's going to be a leadership struggle in the Republican Party. And what if someone, like, I don't know, Mitch McConnell takes the leadership, someone who's kind of anti-Trump? Everything we've just fought for is just gone in an instant. That makes me very scared. And that's why I say to everybody, and I think we say, Ian, that we have to condemn this. We have to make sure that everybody knows this isn't real conservatism. That is a very sad day for US democracy. And on that uplifting and optimistic note, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We do hope everybody in DC is safe. We know several police officers were taken to hospital, wishing them speedy recoveries. Please do like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and take care of yourselves.